Look out, Robin!
Was Adam West the best actor to wear the cowl of the Dark Knight? Absolutely not. But was his version of Batman the most beloved? No. But damn it, West's Batman was the most unique Batman to exist, and his effect on the cultural zeitgeist of the 60s is incomparable. This wisecracking, Batusi dancing Batman took a dark turn in his comic book series. He became the superhero who killed Joker. That's right, the Batman who was considered to be too silly to be canon, the very hero Adam West, described as the Bright Knight, would go on to end the reign of the cackling villain. How did that happen? Let's take a walk down nostalgia lane and find out.
Remember, never hit a man with glasses.
The Dark Knight in the 60s. In the 60s, ABC desperately wanted a show that could be watched by both kids and adults. Their bright idea was to adapt a comic book series, so they set out to get the most popular comic character out there. Unfortunately, Superman was not available, and neither was Dick Tracy, the second most popular cartoon character. So they had to settle with Batman, the next popular character in line. It wasn't like Batman was the poor man's choice. In 1964, Hugh Hefner had screened all 15 chapters of Batman, a theatrical serial of 1943, in the Playboy Mansion, which in turn inspired theaters to run a marathon of the show. This renewed interest was motivation enough for ABC. The man in charge of the project, William Dozier, hadn't read a comic book in his life and considered himself above them. After going through a bunch of Batman comics, he decided that the only way to make a successful Batman show was to make it camp and comical. Even during the 60s, many did not trust that vision. Eric Ambler, famed espionage author, who had signed to write a TV movie to launch the series, refused to continue with the project once he heard about Dozier's plan. Batman might not have been as dark and noir as he was during his debut in the late 30s, but he still was a serious figure. The launch of the show, staunch Batman fans were disappointed to see their hero depicted in a way that made the audience laugh at him and not with him. Many fans even wrote to ABC and the showrunners to let them know about how disappointed they were. Despite obvious naysayers, the show did well. Adam West and Burt Ward stole hearts as the dynamic duo. Adam West's fun portrayal of the hero earned him the name Bright Knight. It might not have been possible if West did not get the comedic potential of Batman. He later revealed that one of the first scenes he read about Batman was him walking into a nightclub dressed in the famous dark tights and asking for a corner booth to avoid attracting attention. The fact that Batman genuinely believed he could go unnoticed in his full costume is what helped him get into the role well. Batman did so well that its campy style began seeping into the comics too, irritating the OG comics fans. The show only ran for 3 seasons, eventually getting cancelled because of declined ratings. The creators tried a lot to stabilize ratings, even introducing Barbara Gordon as Batgirl, with plans to phase out Robin and stabilize Batgirl as Batman's sidekick. They couldn't realize any of these plans as the show ended rather abruptly. The fans who needed closure for their heroes would need to take a look at the comic books and films released later. The popularity of West's show would only increase in the following years. It would become the show that introduced kids to the larger world of superheroes. The nostalgia potential was also nothing to be ignored. The key factor that helped maintain the allure of this campy show was the Bright Knight. Batman's had a no-kill rule ever since he got his own comics, and it was no surprise that the Bright Knight too followed that policy. So when these fans started reading the Batman 66 meets Wonder Woman 77 comic book series, they were shocked to find out that this version had killed the Joker. Isn't that crazy? Though numerous henchmen or minor characters had died during the run of the show, none of them had been killed intentionally by Batman. This put a dark blot on the memory of the Bright Knight. The Batman 66 universe. So let's get into this controversial series. Batman 66 meets Wonder Woman 77 was a part of the larger Batman 66 universe, written by Jeff Parker and Tom Peyer. The series, published from 2013 to 2016, included crossovers with Archie, Green Hornet, Man from U.N.C.L.E., Steed, and Mrs. Peel, and of course, Wonder Woman. While there will come a day when I cover the rest of these series, today I will be focusing on only one. Old Nemesis and Old Hero. The story begins with Catwoman on one of her infamous prowls. She breaks into the house of someone clearly rich and opens the safe to find a book titled Lost World of the Ancients. Though she is disappointed that there weren't any valuables like gold or cash, she figures the customer is always right and jumps out. She gives the book to her customer, who is pleased with her speed. When Catwoman comments that it looked like a bookworm job, her customer responds that the owner would never have turned it over if he knew how valuable the book was. While the customer admires the book, Catwoman stealthily slips out the gold chain around her neck. Their quiet night is interrupted by the arrival of Batman and Robin, and the client flees with the book. Catman arrests Catwoman and sends Robin to check up on the sleeping rich dude, Mr. Finley. As the customer gets into a car, we realize who she is as her father calls her name, Talia. She is none other than the daughter of Ra's al Ghul. Batman recognizes her immediately. Back in the Batcave, Alfred updates the dynamic duo that Finley will soon recover from Catwoman's sleeping scratch. Robin wants to know why Mr. Finley's safe had an alarm that alerted the Batcave. Batman takes him back 2 decades ago when he was but a wee lad, and the Wayne Foundation was having an auction. That was where Bruce had met Talia for the first time. She was around his age, and her father was glad she could be sent away from the adult ordeal with a suitable companion. The 2 kids bumped into Diana, Steve, and Etta, who were there after hearing a tip about Nazis attending the auction. Though Alfred had heard about it, he couldn't warn the Waynes as the auction had begun. The auction got particularly heated when 2 rare volumes of The Lost World of the Ancients were brought out. With $11,000, Mr. Finley outbid everybody there. He was approached later by a Nazi and Ra's al Ghul. Both of them offered to buy the books from him for double or 5 times the price, but Mr. Finley did not want to part with them. When the Nazis tried to take the books by force, Diana changed into Wonder Woman. Her spectacular transformation dazzled the young Bruce, and he decided to help Finley with Talia. They led him through a secret passage, but the Nazi followed and knocked Finley out. Determined to save the books, Bruce threw a brick to take the Nazi down and ran away with the books and Talia. Ra's al Ghul assured the Waynes that Bruce would be alright as long as he hung around with Talia, as she was a resourceful young woman. The kids snuck into the hedge maze, and Wonder Woman decided to get them back, despite the barrage of Nazis attacking her. While Wonder Woman tackled the Nazis, Ra's al Ghul confronted Bruce and demanded the books. In his hurry to get away from Ra's, he dropped one of the volumes. When Wonder Woman found out about Al Ghul's real intentions, she hurried to find Bruce. Meanwhile, Ra's al Ghul decided to leave as cops started to arrive at the Wayne Manor. Bruce was still being chased by a Nazi, and he crashed into a boarded cavern. Young Bruce didn't know it yet, but that was the day his life would change, as that cavern was full of bats and scared him so much that he willed himself to overcome his fear and become the Batman. The bats in the cavern alert Diana, and she rescues him, but not before taking care of the Nazis. Wonder Woman told Bruce that she knew one day she would be asking him for his autograph, as she knew a superhero when she saw one. From this encounter, Bruce had learnt that the books contained secrets about unimaginable power lost to the mortal world. As an adult, Bruce had photographed every single page of the book and maintained a copy of his own. The book revealed a lot of secrets, including the location of Diana's home, Paradise Island. Realizing Talia had the book, Bruce rushes to warn Wonder Woman and her fellow Amazons. To honor the rule of Paradise Island that men should be chaperoned by women, he gets Catwoman out of prison. Wonder Woman welcomes Batman, recognizing him from the news reports, and Batman warns her about the evil people entering. His warning comes a second too late as another guard enters, reporting that a guard had been taken down. Wonder Woman follows the intruders to Gartos with Batman, Robin, and Catwoman. The island of Gartos had a labyrinth where they would imprison those who wronged the Amazons. The constantly changing labyrinth kept them disoriented inside forever. Hoping to use Batman's beacon signal to get out, they enter the labyrinth to see what's in the middle. It's not an easy task to accomplish, as the labyrinth is filled with mystical creatures like the Cyclops and the Griffin. Wonder Woman, however, is nothing less than an animal whisperer, so she gets the Griffin to help them make their way into the center of the labyrinth. Wonder Woman, however, is nothing less than an animal whisperer, so she gets the Griffin to help them into the center of the labyrinth. By the time they reach, Talia and her shadow guards had helped the withered old Ra's al Ghul into the Lazarus pit in the middle of the labyrinth, which rejuvenated him and gave him his youth. Though Wonder Woman and her team of jolly do-gooders try to take down Ra's, he escapes after sending them all down in quicksand. Talia has a change of heart and helps them out. That doesn't save her from the prison of Paradise Island. That night, there's a feast in celebration of their guests, and Robin shows a dance move to Wonder Girl that looks suspiciously like the Batusi. Catwoman seeks asylum in a Paradise Island, and the dynamic duo leave with hopes of seeing Wonder Woman soon. Holy controversy, Batman! Up until now, the comic books have maintained the charm of the 60s show. The color palette used is light, and the story, though engaging, isn't super high stakes. Robin says holy a ton of times, and Catwoman lays it on thick with the perfect puns. Basically, every bit of campy fun that Adam West's Bright Knight was a part of. Then drops issue 9. The 9th issue of Batman 66 meets Wonder Woman 77 starts with a time jump nearly a decade later. In 1977, Wonder Woman takes out Killer Croc while he is smuggling contraband. The new commissioner, Barbara Gordon, thanks her for her assistance, and Wonder Woman reveals to her that she had found Croc while investigating a crime ring. Gordon points out the sign on the side of the truck that says League of Shadows. Diana recognizes it to be the sign Ra's al Ghul was associated with, and asked Gordon to summon Batman using the bat signal, as he was a foe the two shared. Gordon has some bad news, though. Batman had retired, but Robin, now an adult, had stepped into the role as Nightwing. Diana decides to meet Batman as she is completely surprised by his decision to hang up the cowl. Bruce is delighted to see her again, and she asks him why Batman was no longer in the picture. In a grave tone, Bruce responds that Batman could not be trusted. He takes her to the Batcave, reminiscing about the glory days of the 60s when he ran one of the most sophisticated crime labs on the planet. When Robin went off to college, he found a new partner in Batgirl, but she could not fight crime for long as she needed to devote more of her time, energy, and attention to her ailing father. Then one day, Joker discovered Batman's identity and invaded his home to attack him. Alfred, who had become weaker and more fragile with age, suffered a heart attack because of it. Bruce lost control of his rage because of that. He unleashed his wrath on Joker, who died because of it. Batman had realized that he was no better than the goons who had killed his parents. The fan reactions. Needless to say, fans were not very happy that the Bright Knight had taken a life. This was simply unacceptable that out of all of the characters to exist, this version becomes the murderer. Let me be clear, it's not like Batman has never killed Joker in the numerous comics he has been a part of. Dark Multiverse, JLA The Nail, and Vampire Universe all have versions of Batman that killed Joker in cold blood. They were explained away as Batman giving into his darker side or pushed to his absolute limit. Even then, fans mourned the loss of the Caped Crusader's one rule about being a vigilante. Adam West's Batman, though, he was the childhood hero that taught you that being silly was okay. He cracked jokes while saving lives, and when he called you chum, you would feel at the top of the universe. This guy had murdered Joker in cold blood. Fans thought that it did not make sense at all and that their Batman would never do it. Many even read the whole series hoping there would be a twist. Maybe it was the plan of some sinister villain who framed Batman for the murder so that he'd retire. Unfortunately, this panel would be it. The series did not even mention Joker's death again. This was bizarre and even jarring to fans who grew up with the 60s Batman. For them, I would assume it was like finding out Cookie Monster carries around a pistol. It was the innocence and naivety of their childhood being destroyed within a panel. Back to the story. I know this video is about Batman killing Joker, and we have more or less talked about it, so I'm going to go back to the story. I assume y'all want to find out how this whole adventure ends. Wonder Woman consoles Batman and tells him that sometimes a casualty is unavoidable, and one death in a life full of crime fighting is a good record. She tells him about the return of Ra's al Ghul and asks him to return. Batman, however, does not want to and asks her to seek Nightwing. Wonder Woman finds Nightwing while he is trying to capture Copperhead with Catwoman, and the three subdue him in no time. Wonder Woman congratulates him on keeping the Rogues Gallery in check and tells him about Ra's. Catwoman reveals an ancient map she had stolen from Talia when she first encountered her, hoping that it would help them find out about Al Ghul's intentions. Nightwing sends the map to Bruce, hoping to titillate his crime-fighting instincts and get him to return. Bruce has a whole conversation with Alfred on his left shoulder as the Angel, encouraging him to do good, and Joker on his right shoulder as the Devil, telling him all his good instincts died with the Joker. Catwoman, Nightwing, and Wonder Woman peer over the map of Pangaea and realize that it reveals the locations of the Lazarus Pits, one of which was in modern-day Gotham. Bruce comes to that conclusion on his own. While Talia attacks the trio, Ra's al Ghul attacks Bruce. The Batcave was part of a vast underground system that led to a Lazarus Pit, and Ra's al Ghul was hoping to shoot down two birds with one stone, kill Batman, and get Batcave under his control. Unfortunately, Bruce had super strong lights in the Batcave that blinded and weakened the Shadow Warriors of Ra's al Ghul. Knowing Bruce was not as weak as he had hoped, Ra's al Ghul disappears. The trio fight Talia and goons, but Ra's al Ghul summons them away from there. Nightwing correctly deduces that they might be heading to Arkham Insane Asylum, as right below the building is where a Lazarus Pit is. Nightwing asks Barbara Gordon to join them, and they all head to Arkham, with Barbara dressed in her Batwoman costume. Settle down, I know Barbara is the Batgirl, but Wonder Woman calls her Batwoman, and who am I to correct the Amazonian princess? They are surprised as they are joined by another crime fighter, Batman. He had decided to return after all. As the heroes head below the asylum, they are greeted by the villains Ra's al Ghul had freed to stop them: the Riddler, Catwoman, Killer Croc, Mr. Freeze, and Clayface. Catwoman attacks the villainous Riddler while Wonder Woman defeats Clayface in the wink of an eye. Nightwing and Batwoman take out Mr. Freeze and Killer Croc, allowing Batman to find the Lazarus Pit. In the pit, Talia tries to stop her father, reminding him that he is already young and strong enough, but that stubborn man doesn't listen. Talia remembers her memories with Batman and wishes their fates were different. Batman finds the pit just in time as Al Ghul is jumping into it and catches him by his shoe. Al Ghul slips away from the grip and falls into the pit. Unfortunately for him, Talia was right, and when he emerges from the pit, he de-ages to a child. Barbara arrests the father-daughter duo while Batman thanks Wonder Woman for their talk. Batman exclaims that there is no more a League of Shadows, while Wonder Woman suggests about a league of their own. I like that the ending is still fun and happy, and also leads to new possibilities. The 66 Batman need not end this way, as writers have perfectly paved the way for the beginning of Justice League. Listen, my opinion might be controversial here, but I don't think the 66 Batman needs to be crucified for killing Joker. I understand the no-kill rule is important, but in my opinion, Batman killing Joker for causing Alfred's death is a valid reason. He is a human after all, prone to human emotions like grief and anger that can be irritational at times. Batman losing control because he had lost a man who was a friend, a father, and a mentor, all rolled into one, makes perfect sense to me. Alfred was the man he knew the longest. Of course, he wasn't going to arrest the person who caused his death. You don't have to like my opinion, but it is what it is. I thought it was neat that different versions of Catwoman were used with no explanation, and if you didn't pay much attention, you are sure to miss it. It just adds to the overall atmosphere, which tells you again and again that they are not taking themselves that seriously. What do you think about Batman 66 meets Wonder Woman 77? Let me know in the comments below, and if you liked the video, share, subscribe, and tap that thumbs up. We will soon be back with more awesome stuff, but until then, goodbye.